Your parents may have never taught you how to love. Isn't that such a sad sentence, bro? That your parents never taught you how to love. A lot of y'all niggas have trauma and unresolved emotions from the past. And you think that you have to effort. You think that you have to... I was dodging some gnats. You think you have to effort. You think you have to try really hard, clenching my fist. I ain't trying to punch you. I love you, Cameron. A lot of y'all niggas are trying so hard, are efforting so hard, or, it feels like you're the way it used to be for me, right? It was like you were trying to swim against the current, and you make some progress that you never got to the peak of this current, right? Like you never got to, it's like you're swimming up a waterfall, right? And you could never get to the top, to where you wanted to be. This isn't like my usual videos. My usual videos are all about discipline, all about doing the hard work when you don't feel like it, yada, yada, yada. That's great and all, but a lot of y'all niggas, sometimes you have to take a step back, get out of, motion. Motion is great. Like doing things is great. Having a good flow and routine to your day is great. But for some of us, especially us who had traumatic childhoods, like where you got beat and yelled at, and you just honestly never felt safe, especially around your family, that can honestly just be a coping mechanism. If you're always on the go, if you always, I'm going to the gym, I'm reading this, I'm doing this, XYZ. If you're always doing something, then you aren't leaving any space so where you're just forced to sit with yourself and really feel all those feelings that maybe you've been trying to bury away for maybe your entire life, really, right? I'm not sure if this is I'm trying to phrase this in a way that I think will actually be helpful for you. Because the sad part about this, right, is that trauma and repressed emotions and shit, they're very very sneaky things, right? The point of repression is so that you're not really fully aware of it, right? It's impossible to hide something from your own brain, or it's impossible for you to hide from something from yourself. So obviously on some level you're aware of it, but that's the weird part about it, right? It's so nebulous, it's so shapeless. The excuses that it'll generate for you as to why you aren't really maybe sitting with yourself and feeling through some of those emotions that may be lingering from your past, they'll sound so valid, and they'll sound so real, and they'll sound so smart. To some degree they actually are, right? Learning and being busy and doing stuff, or at least doing something with your time. Maybe not necessarily being busy, but just doing something with your time, right? That's actually a good thing, right? However, I think it's different for everyone. I think that at some point on your journey, you're going to realize this, and you're going to realize that you can't run away from yourself any longer, But for me, it took very, very, catastrophic, but it took a lot for me to realize, hey, there's some stuff I need to just work through. There's some stuff in the emotional backlog. There's some things I've been running away from that I have to finally confront, right? And I'm not trying to make this video intentionally vague, right? But I think if you're the type of person, or if you are the person who needs to hear this, I think you'll understand what I'm saying, right? It's great to be busy. It's great to have a routine. It's great to be doing something productive with your time. But at the same time, that can very, very, very much so be a front for running away from ourselves, from running away from the emotions, from the pain, from the sorrow that we've had in our past, right? And I just want to describe this quickly, right? I'll cover this in another video, because I think this is actually a very, very, very important topic that just gets overlooked. It's not even overlooked, it just doesn't even get talked about, period, right? So, basically, like, what I mean by running away from yourself, right? So when you're traumatized as a child, right? Especially if it's your family, you know, as a kid, you literally, like, biologically speaking, cannot fend or provide for yourself. So you are dependent on other people. So when your parents are yelling at you, when your parents are beating you, it completely messes up your head, because it's like, these are the people who I depend on for survival, and they are, like, hurting me. And so it generates all these, like, weird self-beliefs and all this, oh, well, these people are supposed to provide for me, but they're beating me, which means that I must somehow be unworthy, stuff like that, right? Or just even on a deeper level, the pain and sorrow of your own caregivers hurting you, you know, especially on a consistent basis. Like, you know, at the time, especially for most people, right? If you have abusive parents or whatever it may be, right? You were never allowed to express it, and you had to kind of usually bury it away, right? And so what that does is it basically creates like weird emotional vortexes that are like frozen in time, right? So you may be like, I don't know, let's say you're like 18 watching this video, right? You may still have like an emotion almost frozen in time from like when you were 6 or something. And you may think I'm lying, but no, like, this is genuinely how it works. When you don't get to express those emotions as a kid, they get stuck in time. They start to influence you until you finally release them and kind of just allow them to dissipate. And the reason why your brain even represses these, the reason why you are even running from these, is because basically your brain, and kind of yourself on a weird level, knows that it's going to be incredibly, incredibly, incredibly painful to actually allow yourself to feel the totality of these emotions, because they're visceral, right? Intellectualizing is beautiful, right? Because you can make things sound a lot less worse than they are, right? You can euphemize, you can do X, Y, Z. You know, when you're in your head, when you're thinking, when you're all logical, you know, it can't get that bad, right? You can feel a type of way, but it's not that bad, right? But when you're a kid, you don't have those processes kind of running at the same time, right? And so when you feel an emotion, you feel it with your entire body. And that's probably what you're running away from, right? You're running away from those fully embodied, like no intellectualization, like screaming, like crying, like genuinely fully in pain, like sobbing, like the full totality of emotions without any, you know, logic trying to blunt the force of it. You're scared of being overwhelmed by those intense emotions. And I'll cover this in another video, as I said, because I literally have a way to get rid of these very easily. It's really easy, it's free, it's simple, and it will genuinely change your life. Because if it feels like, you know, especially with relationships, if it feels like you put up an invisible wall between other people, you know, even without trying to, you know, for me personally, like, I was working on my social skills and stuff, you know, so I'm trying to cross the road here. You know, I was like working on my social skills and stuff. I was talking to random people, doing this, that, and the third, pushing my comfort zone. That's all fine and dandy, but, you know, I realized that, like, on a deep, like, almost childlike, primal level, I simply did not feel safe around people. I thought they were dangerous. And I just realized this, like, say a month ago or so, and I've been working with the process that I'll outline in another video in regards to this, right? But no, like, if you have the belief And especially as a child, like your beliefs are basically rock solid as a child, right? Like they might as well be legitimate fact of the world, right? So when there's this like childlike part of you that's stuck in time that 100% knows, not even believes, because again, as I said, they're basically 100% true as a child, right? When you have a part of you that knows that people are dangerous, it doesn't matter how much you work on your social skills. It doesn't matter how much you try to smile. It doesn't matter like what you try and do, because your brain, like this childlike part of you, says, oh, people are dangerous, I must stay away from them. And so it'll like unconsciously, like through like minute like body language, just by the way you talk, by the way you act, by the way you flow around people, how your body looks and stuff, you know, it'll put up a barrier in order to prevent you from actually getting into a solid relationship with them. Because if people are dangerous, then you need to stay away from them. We can't have you forming a good relationship, right? And since I've been doing this practice, you know, things have genuinely been changing quite a bit. You know, for one, I just feel calmer. I feel more peaceful. It's like I'm finally gaining back energy that I didn't even know I had trapped up. It feels like I'm releasing a fist that I've had like absolutely like this like fully squeezed my entire life, and that I'm finally just releasing it a little bit, right? So again, this is a bit of a rambling video. Apologies for all the cars and motorcycles, people trying to flex as per usual. But you know, I think if this video is for you, you'll understand what I'm saying. You can't keep on running away from yourself. And you know, the funny part about all of this is, right, you know, these emotions, they're incredibly intense. And it sometimes takes a bit of digging. It takes a bit of intention. It takes a bit of really just sitting with that discomfort. You know, you go to the gym and that's uncomfortable. You know, you avoid bad habits that may be slightly uncomfortable. This is like another kind of thing that you need to upgrade and, you know, work towards. This is another level of discomfort, right? Just sitting with yourself and allowing emotions and things that you've kind of locked away because you thought they were too painful to experience. Just sitting with those and allowing those to come to the surface. So, again, as I said, I'll make another video fully detailing like how you do this. Because again, it's pretty simple. I just had to get somewhere, so I can't do it right now. But yeah, you know, a lot of us, we get stuck in this like weird, extremely logical way of looking at things, right? And I'd say it's just another protective mechanism, because when you're all logical, then you don't have to face the emotional realities that you sometimes have, right? But, you know, this is like, you know, I guess with the physical stuff, like working out and reading books and learning and all that, if that's yang, then this is kind of the yin, you know, this is the other side of it. Because you can't only just do physical stuff. This world isn't just physical. It's not just mechanistic. Like, it's not just A plus B equals C. Like, you can be putting all the A's and B's together, but you'll never get C because there's something missing. Like your emotional, like who you are, your nervous system, all that good stuff, right? So again, if this video is for you, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to detail it in another video. But I just wanted to get in front of the camera and just talk for a little bit. Because I think this is really, it's maybe the number one thing that's holding you back, genuinely. Because there's so many people who are doing all the right things, but because they're carrying around burdens from when they're like a little kid, they don't realize that they're like unconsciously sabotaging and not allowing themselves to experience what they actually want to experience. You can logically want a goal, but if your nervous system, if the wounds you carry from the past, if those stuck emotions like disagree with the logical goal you want, then you're not going to get it, right? The subconscious runs like your body, it regulates your heart rate, it regulates like your digestive system. Think about all the things your body right now is doing and then think about your logical brain. Like your logical brain can like solve like math problems and like and can plan and stuff, but like your subconscious brain is doing like a million processes all at once. So obviously, if there's a battle between the conscious and subconscious, your subconscious is gonna win. So yeah, I do gotta go, but I hope this helps. I hope this just gives you like a bit of a wake-up call, right? Because anyone can tell you to work out, to be more disciplined, XYZ, but life is so much easier when you don't have internal resistance as a result of stuck emotions and pain from the past that you haven't processed. But yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Only way is up. Peace.